Greetings everyone, Slizzle466 here, and in today's video we're looking at some of the best wild theory crafts for the upcoming Darkmoon Faire expansion. I've chosen one deck from each class, with two of these decks being creations that I made myself. So starting with Demon Hunter, we have an odd Demon Hunter. As you'll see here, there are 23 1-drops in the list, which seems excessive until you look at what takes advantage of this way of deck building. Acrobatics is a 3-mana spell, draw 2 cards. If you play both this turn, draw 2 more. So because you've got so many 1-drops, if you play this on turn 5, there's a very good chance you're going to draw 4 cards instead of 2. Another card that takes advantage of this deck construction is Stilt Stepper, 3-mana 4/1, Battle Cry, draw a card. If you play it this turn, give your hero +4 attack this turn. So playing this on turn 4, there's a very good chance that you're going to get that extra attack on your hero that you need. Other cards that you see in this list are Throwglaive. This helps you with board control against flood decks, as well as Dreadlord's Bite, which helps you control board and is an excellent top deck. Looking at Druid, we have Taunt Druid by Noteclapper. Noteclapper is known for building very strong Taunt Druid lists. Looking at some of the new cards in here, we've got Guess the Weight. Because of how this deck is built, you usually just guess that the next card is going to cost more because you've got a lot of cards that cost 3 or more in this list. Another very powerful spell is Solar Eclipse, lets you cast a spell twice. There are a ton of different combos in here. For example, you might want to get some extra ramp, you might want to get some extra naturalizers for mill, you might want to get just a bit of extra ramp, or maybe some extra minions pulled out with Oaken Summons. Just a ton of value in here. Now, as for the taunt part of the deck, there are the taunt minions that we often see, but the one I want to look at carefully is the Greybow. So this is a 5-mana 4/6 taunt, and when it dies, it basically makes itself the death rattle of another friendly minion on the board. So unfortunately, if it's your only minion on the board, it's not going to do anything. So just make sure you have a friendly minion or so on the board. Now, what makes this deck really interesting is the N'Zoth, God of the Deep. So this 10-mana 5/7 has the battle cry of resurrect a friendly minion of each minion type. And so what Nope has done here is he has put in an elemental, Scrapyard Colossus, Hadronox, of course, the Beast, Ziliax, you've got a mech. There's a Fishy Flyer in here, which is a Murloc, which also has Death Rattle, which synergizes with the N'Zoth. And you've also got the Crimson Hothead, which is a dragon. So you're going to get a pretty decent board back from your N'Zoth, God of the Deep. Looking at Hunter, we have a secret Reno Death Rattle Hunter by Duin and EK. So a new secret card, which is very nice, is the Mystery Winner. 1-mana 1/1, Battle Cry, discover a secret. Basically, it is strict power creep over Secret Plan. You've got Inconspicuous Rider, which is another nice secret synergy card. And then if we look at the top end here, it's incredibly greedy, but full of value. Not only are you running N'Zoth the Corruptor and Zul'jin, you're also running Jewel of N'Zoth, 8-mana spell, summon 3 friendly Death Rattle minions that died this game. So unfortunately, if you draw these a little too early against aggro, you're going to get rushed down, but against slower decks, it's going to be very hard for them to outvalue you with a top end like this, also stacked with the Deathstalker Rexar hero power. Looking at Mage, we have a list by King's Bounty. King's Bounty is a player whose list I go to quite regularly, and so this take on Secret Mage is going all in on the new cards. Whether it's good or not, we'll have to see. It's running the Game Master, 2-mana 2/3. The first secret you play each turn costs 1. We're still seeing the Arcanologists, but only a single Kirin Tor Mage. There's a single rigged fair game in here. Whether it's good or not, we'll have to see, but having a 1-op might be okay. There's the Occult Conjurer, which is a 4-mana 4/4 battle cry. If you control a secret, summon a copy of this. Now, keep in mind that you need to ensure that when you go into turn 4, you still have that secret active. Ice Block, of course, would be there, but it's not guaranteed. And it is just raw stats, but it could be enough to have an impact. Last one to look at is Ring Toss. 4 mana, discover a secret and cast it. Corrupt, discover 2 instead. My concern here is that I'm not 100% sure if the Cabal Crystal Runner counts towards the Ring Toss. So let me know in the comments if you think it does or not. I have a feeling that it doesn't. But otherwise, this looks like a very, very nice list to give a test run. Looking at Paladin, we have Odd Paladin. Everyone's a little bit afraid about how powerful Odd Paladin's going to get. It's got some pretty ridiculous cards. Got Oma Yogg. This is a 1-mana Paladin spell. When your opponent casts a spell, they instead cost a random one of the same cost. So, if you get a Defile played against you, or a Maelstrom Portal, or maybe a Mass Hysteria from a Priest, the list goes on. It's going to completely mess up your opponent by making them play something that they want to. And then there's also Carnival Barker, which is played in it as well as Steward of Darkshire. And Carnival Barker is a 3-mana 3/2. Whenever you summon a 1-health minion, give it +1/+2. I'm pretty sure that if you have both the Carnival Barker and the Steward of Darkshire on board, both the effects get activated. But I'm sure Mentalistic, the author of this deck, will be able to get an answer faster than me when the expansion launches, because I'm pretty sure this is going to be the first list Mentalistic is going to be giving a spin with. Moving on to Priest, we have Big Priest. So Big Priest surprisingly got support. Support in the form of Blood of Goon. 9-mana 8/8 elemental with Taunt. At the end of your turn, summon a 5/5 copy of a minion in your deck. This list is opting to run the Blood of Gahun, is it pronounced? As well as the Yasharj. And because these are such similar cards, you'll see there is a Barnes in here. Even though Barnes got nerfed, I think Barnesing and knowing that there's a high chance you're going to run into one of these 3 cards to get ridiculous value, I think it's worth having the Barnes in here just to get that high roll. The other new card you're going to see in here is Palm Reading. 3-mana spell, discover a spell, reduces the cost of all spells in your hand by 1. This essentially lets you get your Shadow Essence out a turn early, assuming that it's in your hand. It might help you get out a Spellstone early or a Scream if things are not going your way. And there's also, of course, getting a random spell, which can be difficult to play around for your opponent. The next 2 lists are 2 that I built myself. So this is my take on Odd Rogue. Personally, I don't like the weapon-based Odd Rogue list. That's just my personal preference. I prefer to go towards the more minion-based ones. So I like to run decks that have Wand Thieves and Evil Miscreants and Vile Spine Slayers in them. It's just my style of play. This specific list that I've come up with, it's got some synergies between Prize Plunderer, Banana Vendor, and of course the lackeys and being able to generate lots of little cheap things. So even though Prize Plunderer can only aim at minions, it's still a nice control for 1 mana. So you might play a bunch of lackeys, you might play a couple bananas, and be able to remove a pretty good threat for 1 mana. Also, the bananas can give you the potential to mill your opponents. So this is especially strong if you're up against a Warlock or a Priest player, for example. And the Ticketmaster is in here because when I look at it, it is very aggressively statted. It is a 3-mana 4/3. Which is pretty good. It's unfortunate this is a death rattle, but this might cause your opponent to waste a silence effect on it if they're that concerned about you summoning free 3/3s on the board. Just keep in mind that those 3/3 plush bears don't get cast when you play the secret passage, so if you are going to plan on having a Secret Passage turn, maybe Secret Passage first and then play the Ticketmaster, either if you draw the other one or you just draw one in general. The other list of mine I want to feature is Even Shaman. This is a pretty stock list. This is a variation of a list that I originally took from a Tempo Storm Wild Meta Snapshot. And so what I've done here is I've pulled out one of the 2-drops. I forget which one I pulled out. It's the one that makes, the Diligent Note Taker. I simply just pulled those out and put in Cage Match Custodian. 2 mana, 2/2 elemental, battle cry, draw a weapon. One thing I find with the totem-based versions of Even Shaman is you typically don't want to keep the Splitting Axe in the mulligan unless you're against a slow deck and you know you're going to have a crazy board. But sometimes you just really need it, and being able to cage match, maybe you cage match on 3 and then hero power, and then on turn 4 you can just slam that Splitting Axe down. Also, it's an elemental, so you might want to consider running Earthen Might in the list as well, but I couldn't figure out what to cut for it. Maybe Mana Feeder Panthara, but for now I'll just keep this card in here. Looking at Warlock, we have Reno Warlock by my friend and Team One Trick teammate The Rotted Zombie. So this is pretty much the stock Reno lock that we see on the ladder. However, there's a deck of Chaos in here, which is basically like a Luna's Pocket Galaxy in a way for Warlock. And it really benefits your high end. So this spell swaps the cost and attack of all minions in your deck. So essentially it makes your N'Zoth become a 5 mana 10/7. It makes your Void Lord become a 3 mana 9/9. The list goes on. So just some really good swaps for the top end of your deck. The problem is though, is that you can't cheat it out. So you got to play it for 6 mana, which is a huge tempo loss. And then once you're into turn 7 and up, maybe you don't need that discount after all. But at least they get improved stats. So that's a plus. And last of all, we have Galakron Warrior. Now, this is a really nice build because it's not just Galakron, but it's kind of a Galakron Menagerie Warrior. And that's because Blizzard has been pushing this menagerie of mech dragon pirate synergies into Warlock for the Darkmoon Faire expansion. So with Ringmaster's Baton, 2 mana 1/3, after your hero attacks, give a mech dragon and pirate in your hand +1/+1. You've also got Ringmaster Watley, 5 mana 3/5 battle cry, draw a mech dragon and pirate. And then you've got Tent Trasher, 5 mana 5/5 dragon with rush, costs 1 less for each friendly minion with a unique minion type. So the way that we get all these minions in the deck is you've got the Ziliax as your mech. You've got, as we saw, there's a dragon here with a Tent Trasher. There's also Sign of Ruin, which is a dragon. Because we're running 4 dragons, we also have the Alexstrasza's Champion, which has some nice synergy. You've also got your Snip Snap, which is a mech, which also synergizes nicely with Ziliax. And then for your pirates, you've got your Sky Raider and your deckhand. There's no patches in here though, but maybe that's an oversight. Not sure why there's not a patches in this list. I'd probably put it in. But otherwise, it's just Galakron Warrior and tons of value and can cause a lot of problems for your opponent if they're not expecting it. If you would like to try any of these lists, you'll find all the deck codes in the description below. Those deck codes will work if you're watching this video before the Darkmoon Faire expansion has launched. Otherwise, if you'd like to support this channel, I would appreciate it if you would click the subscribe button, click the notification bell to know when the next video goes live, and until next time, hope to see you again.